ready.
Okay, now we're ready.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start now. Thanks again for joining us for 1 Million Cups this morning. I'm your MC, Trezzy. First thing we're going to do is go around the room and do introductions. I see a few fresh faces in the audience. So with introductions, we'll say our name, a little bit about what we're doing, maybe where we work, and then move on to the next person. And then we will turn it over to our speaker, Amy from Goods Unite Us. So again, I'm Trezzy. I'm the MC here at 1 Million Cups. I'm also a senior software engineer for Mobile Doorman and a CTO services consultant.
My name is Joey Freen. I'm with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation as a technology investment manager. So manage a couple programs geared towards technology-based businesses looking to raise money from investors and help organize 1 million Cups.
My name is Tom Kuplik. I'm newly the co-CEO of Earthling Interactive. We're software and software development company, custom software, as well as custom websites, e-commerce sites.
I'm James Caveman. I have Calls on Call. It's a shared answering service, and we are hiring. We're having a really hard time doing it. I'm Keith Fuller. I'm founder of All About EX, which is a service that helps startups with all things people.
We can see it over there. You'll get your chance.
Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions, platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Steve Broad, the other co-founder of 32 Auctions.
My name is Kayla. I'm here with Amy with Goods Unite Us. I'm an intern.
I'm Lee Bowman. I'm a financial advisor for a not-for-profit financial company.
Eric Kesting. I'm a family business owner for eRitter & Company.
I'm Ray Senerigi. I just moved here 2 weeks ago from Portland, Oregon, and
Welcome!
I feel welcome. It's a nice town. I'm a creative director and a fine artist.
Travis Human. I'm owner of Stray Cat Bicycles, but I'm also looking for new opportunities.
Peter Cabby, Wealth Management Advisor with Merrill Lynch, Bank of America.
I'm DP Knowden, creative collaborator. I work with everybody on things from copywriting to full-bore nonfiction branding and everything in between.
Dominic DeMarco, longtime Madison resident that just got back from a 6-month sabbatical in Asia. Have worked in startups, accelerators, and venture capital, and looking for what I'm doing next.
All right, so quick thank you to our sponsors, Dream Bank for the space and Starting Block for their continued support. Also, since we're moving this to the beginning now, if you don't already, you should download the 1 Million Cups app and go check in. Helps us out with stuff with the Kaufman Foundation, who backs 1 Million Cups. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Amy from Goods Unite Us. Let's hear it for Amy.
Following your app download plug, if you haven't downloaded the Goods Unite Us app, you should do that now. It's a free app. My name is Amy Miller, and I am the COO and a co-founder of Goods Unite Us. Do you notice anything wrong with this picture? You can throw some ideas out if you want.
Windows upside down.
Yeah, I get that one a lot, but that's not it. Okay, what about now? So some of the things that I noticed when I saw this were that I had no idea that Spalding was owned by Berkshire Hathaway. I had no idea that Berkshire Hathaway had a profile that looked like that. And I have no idea why President Obama is playing ball with a company that's undermining his life's work. But it turns out, actually, that President Obama is not the only one who has this problem. We all have this problem as consumers. So for every $1 that you are spending knowingly to a political contribution or a campaign, you're purchasing dollars and my purchasing dollars. 3 of those dollars are going to campaigns that you may not agree with. So as consumers, we have all these choices every day about what we can buy, and a lot of us don't realize that our purchasing might be undermining our actual vote. So all of this begs the question, how would President Obama even know? Or how would we know, for that matter? And the answer is Goods Unite Us. Goods Unite Us is an app and a website that gives consumers the political affiliation of over 4,000 brands and companies, and we provide a platform for brands and companies to interact with consumers who are interested in what they're doing. So our platform basically does several things, but essentially what we do is we aggregate the data about how much money a brand or company gives to politicians and PACs and to which party, and we put it in a visual so that consumers can see it. We also have a place on the app where consumers can write reviews about other things about companies, so like social impact or product reviews or environmental sustainability, those kind of things, and then the brands and companies can in turn respond to that. We now have data for competing brands, so if you're looking at AT&T, on the bottom it'll say see more brands, and it'll give you sort of the quick breakdown of like Metro PCS, Verizon, etc. And we just launched a new feature where you can search by politician. So if you pull up AT&T, it will show exactly which politicians AT&T donates to, and it will also tell you, like, is it the company or is it the senior leaders? So we've gotten quite a bit of traction. We've been around for just over a year now, but in September we got our first funding. We had around 5,000 monthly active users at that time, and now we have around 120,000, and that's on both of our platforms. The cool thing about that was in November when we had the election, we saw a huge spike as well. So we were around 200,000 monthly active users at that point. We've basically figured out our cost of acquisition per user is around $1. We've brought that down pretty significantly in the last 6 months or a year. And all of that will equate to monthly impressions, which if we end up doing advertising is an important thing. We also have really good metrics on the app. So the average user who downloads the app for the first time and uses it is in the app for around 4 or 5 minutes. And we have a returning user rate of around 1/3. So they end up using it for less when they come in the second time, but it's around 2.5 minutes. So just by industry or by like the metrics of apps, you can see that's a pretty good metric. And we know that this is working. So we know that we're changing consumer behavior because they tell us. We have tons and tons of emails from consumers saying, thank you for this app. I used to buy Angel Soft toilet paper, but now that I know their politics, I buy Northern, Quilted Northern. Or I used to shop at Target, but now I shop at Walmart. So we have a lot of user testimonials. We also have a lot of earned media coverage. So we were featured in Oprah magazine, and Kayla, you can pass that around. It's marked if you want to see it, but that was obviously a big and exciting day for us because they reached out to us, so that was cool. And then we have a bunch of other publications that we've been in as well. There are some competitors, but frankly, no one's doing it as well as we are. So a lot of apps, like Done Good is a very good app, but it focuses on all kinds of issues like sustainability and working conditions. And for us, we focus on the money and politics. And the reason that we do that is, for now anyway, resources. And also, it's kind of a top-down approach. So we focus on the people that make the laws, and then the laws kind of trickle down from there. Probably our biggest competitor is Bipartisan. We really like their name. We tried to buy it from them, but they are just kind of not doing much. So they have a lot of good information. Their technology doesn't always work. It's a scanning technology. And they haven't updated their data since 2015. This is a cool graph because it shows that our awareness is growing. So basically, our marketing spend is the red line, and our total app users are the dark blue, and then the new app users are the light blue. So basically, when we spend money on marketing, we know we can get new users, but the fact that the dark blue is growing shows us that people keep coming back, and we have a lot of returning users. So that was very exciting. And then just kind of a quick recap about who we are as a company and what we do. Why are we doing this? So one of the things, I'm sure I'm going to get this question, so I'll just say it now. Some people have said, well, isn't what you're doing causing more division? And it's divisive, and we're already very divided as a country, and what you're doing is sort of making that worse. And to that we kind of say, not really, because while it does evoke like some emotion in people, at the end of the day, as consumers, we're all basically undermining our vote unknowingly. So we feel like by providing transparency and information to consumers, that is a good thing in the long run. How do we do that? We make it easy. The app and the website are free. And I'll get into the team in a little bit here. this is mostly an investor slide, but basically it says, if we spend this amount of money on marketing, we know we'll be able to get to 1.5 million monthly active users by election day. And that's kind of our goal. And that assumes, we have a bunch of different projections, but that assumes like no virality, which hopefully will get even more virality, and we're seeing some of it every single day. And all of that basically equates to monthly impressions, which are one way that we could monetize it. The other question we get all the time is, how do you make money? And the answer is, right now we're pre-revenue, so we don't make money, but we are going to make money. So basically we have these 4 different revenue paths. We have some other ideas too, but we are just now starting, now that we have like a pretty significant user base, we're starting to test out some of these revenue paths. So one of the ideas is company and politician marketing subscriptions. So if you're a politician or a company, you could pay us a monthly fee. And for that you get, we have different marketing packages, but basically you would upload your logo, you would be able to interact with you know, your audience basically. Same thing if you're a politician. We're also experimenting with taking donations to politicians. So because we have all the politicians in our database, you can scroll through 900 politicians. We're basically saying there will be a donate button and you can make a donation and we would get a percentage of that, kind of like ActBlue. We've also talked about and started to experiment with targeted advertising and affiliate marketing. So let's say that you are Mazda and you have a certain political profile, and we have users on our app that we know match your political profile, but they happen to drive an Acura or some other car. And we know that because they've told us. So part of our app is a survey where people can answer 10 questions about where they spend money. And then we give them their political profile after they give us some information about like their political party, their income, their email, etc. So we could essentially, Mazda could pay us to serve ads to people who are like right in their target market to buy a Mazda. And then we've talked about data licensing and data marketplace. We don't do anything with our data right now. If we did, it would be anonymized. But we do have a lot of cool sort of marketing insights about how people spend their money. Our team has grown to 7 now, but we have 3 co-founders. So Abigail Weist, she's a government attorney here in town, and she was a progressive politician. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so this is my 5th or 6th startup, something like that. And Brian Potts is a litigator at a top law firm. He also is a contributor to Forbes, and he has another startup as well. We have a group of investors and advisors. A lot of them are local, and 2 of them are from the East Coast. We just got another one yesterday from Milwaukee, so that was exciting. And basically, we closed on a seed round in January, and within 3 months, we had already accomplished the deliverables for that seed round. So now we're out raising more money. Our value proposition when we go out to raise money is basically, we have a great team, we know that we can get things done, and we've proven that. We have a product that's already out there, it's viable, we have traction, and we expect significant growth in the company, primarily because of the times that we live in, A, and B, because we've figured out how to do it through our marketing. So with that, I will open it up to questions. Yes?
How do you get the data?
It's publicly available, but we have a full-time researcher. Yeah. Okay. So for 2 years, we've been paying our researcher to manually get the data.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you, my family was franchise entrepreneurs for a long time, so how do you differentiate between that? So say the franchise they own, the corporate might have this, political meaning, but they have thousands of, independent owners under there that can be very different. Are you guys differentiating for that at all?
We don't, unfortunately, mainly because we don't have the resources to, but that is a thing that we've discussed. Yeah, I mean, it's hard with done commitments or something like that, Yeah.
Have you thought about putting in competitors when you look up a certain, category, when you look up a certain company to see what the other competitors in that category are? So I just looked up Southwest, and it gets a -48. I was like, oh, that's pretty terrible. But then like Delta has a -50. Like I have to physically go through and look at all of the different, say,
You
airlines.
shouldn't have to, because it should be now on the bottom, it'll say other brands.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a new feature we have too. Yeah.
I was here last year when you did the
Yeah.
presentation. Congratulations on the miles you've gone since then, because the app is really cool. It's very cool to see 5,000 plus downloads on the App Store, the Apple App Store.
We have a lot more downloads than 5.
I think that was
You
just
mean reviews?
Was that reviews?
Yeah,
That's
we
a
killed
lot
it in the
of reviews.
reviews.
Oh, that is, well, anyway, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
What type of friction are you getting in the market from this product? I'm just curious.
I mean, it varies, right? We pretty early on we got a cease and desist from a company, so we were excited about that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we tell them like we double check the data. Sort of our protocol for that now is like we'll double check and we'll make sure it's right. But if it's right, we're leaving it up. And that's been. I mean, we've had like Chico's recently called my cell phone. That was good. And Life is Good. They called us. And
let me look them up.
They're not, actually, unless we pushed it out yesterday, you should see if it's on there, because in that case, we did have it incorrect, and we took it down. And then now we have the correct information up, and it should have been pushed out yesterday. Yes?
I've heard it said that when there is no cost for an app, the cost is actually the user. And I'm wondering, people that download this, is there, how are you planning on generating revenue from your user base?
Well, we're hoping to generate revenue from the brands and companies and not the users. We have a Kickstarter out right now, so if anyone wants to go on our Kickstarter campaign, we have 8 days left and it's not exactly funded. So in an ideal world, we're not going to charge the users and the consumers. We'll charge the brands and companies. But we haven't proven that out yet. So that's the $1 million question.
Well, you know, actually, so part B to that question would be then if you kind of sell it, this is because I'm generally interested in how this stuff works as opposed to Goods Unitas.
Yeah.
But if you sell data to a company on user base, can they somehow funnel that back to me personally?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
We haven't sold our data. We haven't had many discussions around that.
Okay, fair enough,
I
thanks.
suppose if the company actually did sell you your personal data, then probably. Yeah.
I came in a little bit late, so I may have missed this. Also, left my voice out there. If I look up Mazda, for example, exactly what do I see on your app? I mean, you can just generalize it, but I mean, will I see their political affiliations or who they support, who they don't support? What?
So Mazda is actually one of the brands and companies that doesn't really give money. I don't think they give any money.
Well, I mean, any company,
But
small.
what you'll see is a score, and the score is basically about campaign finance reform. So that's like, if you get a score of 100, it means as a brand or company and your senior leaders, you do not give money to politics. And that's really what we want, right? Because that's what we want. And then, but if the brand or company does, then we break it down and just give you a visual of this. And then we also give you the level, right? So it could be like minimal. And the score is affected by the level and which party.
So you don't, but do you do anything subjectively, like, you know, these guys are really bad because, or
No.
you just put in factual evidence?
Mm-hmm. It's an algorithm, basically, based on money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying to understand your numbers. Now, you said you're pre-revenue, so I'm making an assumption that means you have no revenue streams right now?
Correct.
And then one of your final slides said something about your projection is to have 5 times revenue. So you have 0 revenue, but, so I didn't understand what that.
Yeah, so it depends on which revenue model ends up playing out. And actually, when we started this company, we were an affiliate shopping site. So it's all about experimenting, right? And figuring out, like at the end of the day, we have a lot of financial projections of ways that we think that we're gonna monetize it. But before we could really do that, A, we had to build out the product, which we just did. And B, we have to get a significant amount of users to make it valuable to anyone. So that's kind of based on a few different things, like the marketing subscriptions, which would be coming from the brands and companies, a certain percentage of like people donating to politicians, and I mean right now it's just all in a spreadsheet, but we haven't proven it out. So that's what the next money is for.
So what is it that your current investors, though, aren't they looking for a little bit more definition around where do you see the revenue coming from? And
Yeah, I mean, we have these discussions, trust me, daily, hourly. And we just got a new investor on board this week who is very, very into that discussion. So I think that's going to be really good for us because up until now, what we've been focused on is like building out the platform, making sure we have product market fit. Are the people using it? Are they still using it? Or is it just an app that they download and then they never use again? So it's a process, and yeah, I mean, we're lucky that we have investors who are, work closely with us, and it's a conversation of like, how can we figure this out? Yeah, it's not a widget, unfortunately.
Has it come up that anybody's asked you what your investors, what their donation levels are? Like, have they asked you as a company, where are you in this spectrum? Meaning, has your company made any donations anywhere?
No, because we don't have any money.
Right, but
we're in the app though, and our score is 100.
But your investors though, has anybody asked about that? Like, what side do your investors lean on? Okay.
No.
Is that important to stay neutral?
I think it's important to stay neutral, and we've pitched to all both sides of investors. It's pretty apparent that a lot of our investors now are progressive, but we actually are trying to get, we had a potential investor in Texas that we were really trying to get on board just because he's not progressive. And so for us, like if we were really about transparency, then we would welcome that and we want that. It just so happens that we haven't gotten any conservative investors yet. Yep.
One of the most intriguing tabs on the thing that I am interested in is the politicians thing. So you can go in and see very quickly, very graphically who's supporting them, et cetera, et cetera. You've got your data set and you've got your current storefront as Goods Unite Us. Have you ever thought about coming out with a politician scorecard type thing where it's accessing the same data, but it's providing it to someone like a reporter who might, or a publicly oriented person, they can go on and see instantly, like 2 minutes before they have the interview with the person, just quickly go, oh, these are who's back them, just as a data set that's of value. So could that be a subscription thing for a news gathering organization where, for whatever, how many, I don't know how you would do it, but it's a great data set.
Yeah.
It's very simple. And for people who are working on a deadline, i.e. people who are working at the speed of news, just to be able to, I think that's valuable.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you have further thoughts on that, I'd love to get together with you and just chat about it.
Yeah,
because
cool.
We're like in the next, basically between now and January, the goal is like ideas like that, like figure it out, does it work, and figure it out quick.
Well, think about it from a consumer level. You got, what, 23 Democrats have announced for 2020? If you're definitely a self-described Democrat and you wanted to get at least some more data points about the various people, that would be, even dad sitting outside swim practice waiting to pick up a kid, I could go, oh, interesting,
Yeah, thank you.
Is it publicly traded companies only, or is it private as well?
It's mostly publicly, I think, but we have like some local ones, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, so where does the data, like if it's publicly available, I would imagine, it would come from the K1s on the public side, but I mean, is there another source for that?
Yeah, I mean,
do the
there's a few
politicians have to
different
report?
sources, and it depends on the company. Some of them are more difficult to find than others.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all publicly available information. And we have, it's also kind of worth noting, we have a list right now of 17,000 brands and companies that people want added to the database. So we may need another researcher. We're like, what are you up to, Lindsay? She's like, well, I have 17,000 brands and companies to research. So, yeah. Yeah.
So imagine that we get whatever investment dollars we're after. What's the pie chart look like for where you want that money to go? Is it primarily user acquisition, or the bringing on more team members?
It's a little of both. A lot. We spend like probably 45% of our money in user acquisition, which is kind of an unusual business model, I think. Some people said. A good portion of it, maybe 20%, is development, and I don't know the exact percentage for hiring team members, but yeah, it's maybe like 30%. But a significant portion goes to acquiring users.
Okay, so if we get more money, whatever that next level is, we want to keep that ratio pretty much the same.
I mean, right now we want to, because we really want to get to like 1.5 million monthly active users by the election. So that's, yeah. Yes.
The companies seem to sort of at this moment look at you as sort of a threat, as sort of like their lack of transparency. I mean, you have a claimless company. What's the vibe in terms of their desire to manage their own portfolio of kind of political action on your platform?
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Again, because we do have some brands and companies that have claimed their page, which was exciting. But generally, those are the ones that don't give a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's a process, right? And some are like, well, we don't give any money. And I'm like, well, yeah, you do. So, I mean, it just depends on the brand and company. They're all different.
Yeah.
But I'm trying now that I've been having more conversations with them to spin it more as like, this is really more of an opportunity for you to say, because when they do claim their page, they get basically 400 characters at the top to say whatever they want. So a lot of companies have said to me directly, yeah, we give money to this, but you're missing all the other good things we're doing in the community. Or we volunteer, we send our employees every week to serve at a soup kitchen. And I'm like, great, that's where you put that. Because right now people are looking at what you're doing, and that's a great opportunity for you to put that there. It hasn't caught on yet.
Not many. That would be part of your revenue model, that they would pay to own their page.
Yeah. But we kind of think that eventually they might, if we get enough users, then
force their hand.
Well, if you can scale, you'll never get to Yelp numbers, but let's face it, Yelp drove a lot of people to care about their rating on Yelp if you're a restaurant or something like that. So once it reaches a certain critical mass, you're going to have people dying to have some, at least spin control over their thing. Because let's face it, if you're taking FEC filings and putting up the numbers there, those are facts. You can have your own opinions, but we have one set of facts and we're just presenting the facts. Your opinions, your spin could go in that upper part where I don't see how that's going to overcome the very colorful distributions that you show on the screen. But for the restaurant owner on Yelp who's complaining about, I got to get rid of these negative reviews, you at least give an opportunity to try to balance that, which, again, there's value there.
That's the business model that we're after. Also, another business model that's similar is Glassdoor, like the website. And that's when we pivoted from a shopping site, because we realized that nobody wanted to shop on our clunky, crappy site. They wanted to shop on Amazon, but they wanted the information. We kind of switched to, okay, maybe we could do this more like Glassdoor, and that's exactly what Glassdoor did too.
Is there, and this might be something to think about, is coming up with some type of scoring thing that is like a quick Rotten Tomatoes score.
That was the original idea too.
You know,
yeah.
At least for those people who activate the plugin on Chrome, you can see, boom, this thing you're looking at is, oh, you're actually killing whales when you buy this thing.
Yeah. I mean, all of these things are
Yeah.
things that we've talked a lot about and we're testing, and at the end of the day, though, it all requires money to test.
Yeah, got it.
So, yeah. Sure. Yeah, the reviews are basically you go in and create a profile, and and we have like 5 different categories. It's like politics, working conditions, sustainability, etc. And as a user, I mean, you can't just be an anonymous person and go in and put a crazy review. But we have quite a bit of reviews, and in fact, one company reached out to me because they had a negative review, and they were so like up in arms. It was apparently an employee that wrote, "I know that this company does this, this, and this," and we were like, "Yeah, if you claim your page, basically you can respond to that." But that's, yeah, consumers can create reviews. So that was another testing thing that we did.
Are they crazy? Because this is a political app essentially, and I can totally see political people, internet, like.
So what's crazy is our Facebook page. And that's legitimately crazy. Not crazy, it's very passionate. But so far on the reviews on the app, I don't think there's been anything like overtly terrible. On Facebook though, it gets to be interesting. That's a full-time job moderating those comments.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said you spend a lot of money on client acquisitions. So what market are you going for? Like more millennial or kind of everybody, I guess?
Well, right now, most of our demographic just happens to be women about like between 35 and 50. They do a lot of the shopping. They're also on Facebook. So I think there's a whole millennial market that we haven't even entirely tapped into. So we just started, Kayla, who works for us, is just starting to sort of work on some of our other social media, like Instagram and stuff like that. But basically, and then we had another talk about being like, well, it's probably the people who would vote in the primary elections because they're the ones that are most passionate. So, yeah.
If you don't do this, maybe it's a suggestion for the future as well, but is there a way to query the site and say, well, I want to, give me a consumer products manufacturer with a campaign finance reform score of X that leans Republican or Democrat or something like that, and kind of winnow down the list so I can say, oh, that's interesting. Look at all these companies as opposed to, as I'm understanding it, you go in company by company. Is there a way to kind of split that around and say, well, let me query the results and then get a list of companies so they're more top of mind for me?
Yeah, we don't have that specific feature, but we do have search by category. So there's a tab at the top, I think it's still there, where you can search airlines, and then it's basically score 100 to the most negative, meaning the top ones don't give money. There's not a lot of airlines that fall in that category. But, and then the other thing we have is now when you do click on an airline, it shows you 5 alternatives below. So that's the closest we have to that now.
How do you deal with like, do people have an interest in the issue level kind of like focus of the donations or their political activity? It seems like that would be a passion area for folks as opposed to maybe just the political party affiliation.
Yeah, there's interest in that for sure.
Yeah.
I just had this discussion 2 days ago as well. And I mean, for us, I think we're interested in that too. But right now, it's like, where do we allocate our resources? Because we just don't have that many resources. But yes, there's interest for sure.
All right. Well, let's say thank you, Amy. I assume you'll be hanging out for a little bit after the event if people want to chat. And you have business cards or anything slide with your contact info that you can throw up.
I forgot my business cards, but I have a
perfect business slide. All right, great. So, quick reminder: if you haven't already, grab the 1 Million Cups app and go check in. Otherwise, thanks for joining us this morning, and have a good rest of your day.
And don't forget, if you like the app, you should go to our Kickstarter campaign. Because we have 8 days left.